Hi, I'm Mike McCormick here at GBTA Broadcast Studio, live in Frankfurt, and I'm here with Peter Ashworth with CWT. Peter, thank you for joining us, and welcome to our event here in Frankfurt.
Well, thank you much for having me. It's a very exciting and interesting event as well, so glad to be here.
So exciting times for our industry as well, as always. Certainly with all of the changes, all the dynamic things happening in business travel, what do you see coming in 2018? What's ahead for us?
Well, Mike, that's interesting because in general, a lot of people say this is the second machine age. And I think a lot about that is that technology has become so smart in combining data that it can even automate and change the way it thinks. So also the more complex tasks can be automated. If you translate that to travel, it's very interesting that nowadays we have the ability to combine everything about travel, flights, hotels, car rentals, expenses, but combining that with finance and HR data, making out of that mix, we can recreate the customer experience and the user experience for the traveler, and at the same time making sure that the corporate company with its travel policy knows where are my people, what are they doing, and making sure they get a return on invest and increase their productivity. Simple example, I've got a chief digital officer that has to be on stage. Let him fly business that he's very active on stage. Right. At the same time, from a savings point of view, move your meeting from a Monday to a Wednesday, because then you get cheaper availability rates.
Right. So it's a lot of factors there in what you just said. You've got a personalization element for the traveler, you've got a big duty of care element, and then of course always, right, making the most of your travel dollars. That's a lot of complexity in all that as well, right?
True. Combining all those elements together and making sure we use that for predictive analysis as well, for behavioral patterns, analyze the patterns, mining the data, and making that valuable for the traveler and the user experience and the corporate is exactly what we're doing.
And so another trend, or I guess another story that's certainly been around for many years but is starting to come back, is this focus on traveler well-being and employee well-being, right? Both from a terms of companies, retention of their employees, but also just the liability or the responsibility the company has. We recently, released a study, CWT sponsored, that really focused on that well-being element. How important is that in all the business travel experience?
I think there are a couple of components if you look at personalization. If personalization, what does that mean for me? Nowadays, everything is customized. So the way I watch television through Netflix, it's customized. The way I organize my mobile phone is customized. I've got specific ringtones for my friends. So all of that information that is there, so it's a hybrid factor to get personalized and the personalized customer experience. If you translate that, if you do that for travel, what does that mean? When I'm on the go, when I travel, my CWT Go app knows exactly that I like to fly late at evening. Right. It knows that I like to fly to London City instead of Heathrow. It knows that I like boutique hotels compared to generic hotels. And obviously by learning that and absorbing that, the next time I book, it will give me spot on information. Right. And not only that, when you arrive, it says, I know, because you're in UK, I know that you love Indian food. Right. This is the best restaurant, this is the transfer, and takes you away on that. And we're investing heavily in those kind of components to make sure that we're using that data for that, and not only that, but also for the corporate customer to use a much more forward-looking and a much more customer experience for their travelers. So linking on the safety and security side, and how do you do that from the employee well-being, is obviously if the customer experience and the booking and travel experience is great, right? And you've got a flexible program, because I believe that a lot of the travel policies maybe have too much inflexibility in there. Right. Mentioning I have to travel to Sydney 5 times in 6 weeks. Would it make sense to have somebody stay over the weekend and be better? Or do we know that the same guy that he travels 5 times, actually what happens, he gets ill because he's been in a plane, jet lagged and all that too much. So having that flexibility in your program will increase the satisfaction with your policy, combined with the excellent user experience. That will make sure that people don't mind to be in policy. Right. Because it's about that inflexibility that we believe is developing towards the future, and the traveler is key.
Oh, interesting insights. Peter Ashworth from CWT, thank you for joining us here today. And I'm Mike McCormick at GBTA Broadcast Studio, live in Frankfurt.